bees. Oh my gosh.
We all have fears, but when does a fear become a phobia? It happens when your fear begins to get in the way of your life. For example, a few years ago I was installing an AC in my living room. I opened the window and saw a massive swarm of bees. I panicked, ran to the bedroom, slammed the door shut, and grabbed some towels to seal the space under the door because I thought the bees were gonna get inside and get me. I'm not allergic to bees, but I believed something bad was gonna happen. I called my wife and begged her to come home and save me. She did, but I was on edge for days to come after that, and I couldn't bring myself to open that window and install that AC. My wife ended up doing it on her own. I asked her to do it only when I was away at work. Kinda ironic, me having to escape to work to avoid my phobia when my job is to help people overcome their phobias. When you get anxious, your urge is to avoid a situation. While that makes you feel better, it keeps you from learning that if you stick with a situation, your body will adapt and your anxiety will come down on its own. The more you expose yourself to anxiety, the less anxiety you feel. This is the idea behind exposure therapy, the most effective treatment for anxiety disorders. Here's how I applied exposure therapy to my bee phobia. Step 1. Make an exposure plan. I started by making a fear hierarchy, listing all the situations that made me anxious and rating them from 0 to 100. Stuff like watching cartoon bees, videos of bees, being in a garden with a lot of flowers, all the way up to having a bee crawl on my skin. Step 2, pick a low starting point. This is where most people really mess up exposure therapy. They start really high, it's overwhelming, they quit, and all this ends up doing is just strengthening their phobia. Exposure therapy is like learning how to ride a bike. The first thing you do is get used to training wheels, not extreme mountain biking. I started my treatment with an exposure that was one step above what I could already do. Watch a documentary about bees. Step 3, get bored of your exposures. Exposures work when you do them over and over again. Once you get bored, then you move up in difficulty. I spent a few months crossing things off my hierarchy, and I watched that scary video documentary over and over again. I'm ready to face real bees. My wife found a patch of flowers with lots of bees nearby, so let's go face my fear.
Gosh, my heart is racing, and I have this fear that the bees are going to touch me and something bad's gonna happen. I know it's not logical, it's all emotional, and now I'm like hyper aware of what's going on. I'm gonna move towards the bees, sit with it, let my anxiety rise, come down on its own. I'm gonna give you the SUDS scale. It's a scale of 0 to 100, how much subjective units of distress I'm experiencing. My SUDS are about 70. This is a pretty high exposure. When you're doing exposures, you want to be really mindful. You want to really experience it. You don't want anything to distract you. I'm gonna have a very specific, observable, and achievable goal. So I'm gonna wait here, and I am not going to move. My thoughts right now are this bee is gonna come straight at me. Oh gosh, my anxiety it's spiking every time they move. I don't know where they're gonna go, and that's what's really making me anxious about it. And these are really big bees. They're kind of like hairy. There's like 4 of them right there. My anxiety's come down a bit. I'm like at a 60. It spikes every time they move. Gosh. Oh man, that just went up to like an 80. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. It spikes, but I can hear him flying. But you know what? They're not really attacking me. I felt a raindrop and I thought it was a bee. The more I stick with it, the more I'm getting used to them flying. I'm able to tolerate this. I'm not jumping around as much. I'm kind of down to like a 45 right now. They look very hungry, like they keep going at these flowers. I feel like they want stuff, but they're not coming in after me, and I'm really surprised by that. My heart, it's still beating, but it's beating a lot slower. I think I'm ready to move a little closer in, and I'm gonna kind of... Okay, that was a spike. That was a spike, but that's to be expected because it just increased the intensity of the exposure. These bees, these really fat ones, are kind of cute, and I never really expected that. They're kind of fuzzy. So all these people just walk by. It was actually really helpful to see average people see all of them and just kind of go about the regular day. That's not how I'd react. I would have walked all the way around here. One of my mentors, Charlie Mansueto, he taught me that it's anxiety's nature's way. The stuff you avoid gets hard to face, but when you face it, you get used to it. That's how nature works, and that's what's happening for me right here. I'm like right next to this bee, and I'm like at a 30.
I'm not cured yet, but this is a huge step forward for me. I've gotten used to being near bees, and I've learned that bees don't attack you just because you're nearby. I'm still scared of getting stung by a bee, but I'm beginning to think that I could tolerate it if it happens. I have to keep facing bees and do more exposures on my hierarchy, and I'll let you know how that goes in a few episodes. But I'm optimistic. Do you have any phobias you're trying to overcome? Let me know in the comments below. I'm at Mattu on social media. For more psychology, be sure to like the PSYCH Show on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube.